Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians and the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves. Gabe Iglesias needs more money. He has entered the celebrity tequila game, and I thank him for that. Gabe, with some of this money that you're making, you should pay your PR team because they got it done. They got Men's Journal to write the following. Comedian Gabriel Iglesias just entered the celebrity tequila game, and it's no joke. All right, that's cheesy enough, but then the messaging. After years of rejecting celebrity liquor deals, the fluffy comedian built a tequila from scratch, one designed to be affordable, social, and easy to find. We are told Gabriel Iglesias, one of the most successful touring comedians in the country, didn't expect to get humbled by a blind taste test of his favorite spirit tequila. That's right, the team behind his new tequila brand, Pocho Fino, showed up with more than 36 bottles, including his usual Por Patron and some early Pocho Fino prototypes, and ran Gabriel Iglesias through a Pepsi Challenge-style lineup. Gabe said, I was so impressed. The alcohol that I thought I was drinking wasn't what I was drinking. It was actually Pocho Fino. Funny how that worked out. They all made fun of me. Ha, you thought you were good. My new favorite is Pocho Fino. Now again, Gabe, please take care of your PR team, because they somehow got this printed. For Iglesias, tequila isn't a celebrity accessory. No, it's a social glue and a way of connecting with the people who show up for him night after night. Gabe says, I drink every weekend. I'm a social drinker. I don't drink alone. If I'm drinking, everybody's drinking. That accessibility, emotional, cultural, and price point, $18 for 375 milliliters, is the heart of his new brand, Pocho Fino. And notice they keep getting the name in there. Good job, PR team. Gabe explains, I definitely do not ever drink before the show, but toward the end, I'll ask the audience, would you mind if I drink with you? That's part of the show, too. I'm sure when he says that heading forward, hey, do you mind if I drink with you? I'm sure he'll get some product placement in. Even Jim Gaffigan is like, yo, come on.
I don't care. Yeah. I bought a house with that money, so I don't care what you said.
We are told Gabe's been approached for tequila collaborations for years, but he always turned them down. He explains it didn't make sense to sell something I wasn't invested in. I'm doing very well for myself. There was no need to make it a money thing. But what changed was a pitch that let Gabriel Iglesias build a tequila brand from scratch. He sketched the label art on a napkin. He came up with the name and insisted on being looped into every email. He tells us, the dogs on the label are my dogs. It's an homage to them. This is a serious passion thing. The name itself, Pocho, flips a slur used for Mexican Americans. I'll take a time out here. I've never heard that word before in my life, so if I have accidentally offended somebody in the previous 3 minutes or so, I really don't mean anything. I'm just reading an article and I'm clearly trying to have fun with it. I am educating myself. I have Googled the term, and I'm told it's a pejorative slang term in Mexican Spanish that refers to Americans of Mexican descent. I've never heard that term, having grown up in New York City. Gabe explains, I wasn't born in Mexico. I was born in the U.S. This is a Mexican-American tequila, not a straight-up Mexican brand. It's a hybrid, a connection. It's my story. Anyway, I come in peace, but back to making fun of all this. The Blanco anchors the new line. A bottle he wants fans to actually drink, not admire on a shelf. Gabe says, I don't want to be the masters of the food world. I want to be the McDonald's. Tastes good. You can afford it. You get a nice buzz. That's what I'm about. Oh, there are more flavors. There's grilled pineapple. There's also Mexican candy, which is watermelon, lime, and jalapeno flavored. Gabe said he needed a little nudge with the Mexican candy name, since there are many types of Mexican candy, but the pineapple concept was an easy yes. He said, I'm a big fan of grilled pineapple, period. It's really good. Not something I can do every weekend, but it's unique. As for the brand, you're definitely going to see me backing it. No way.
No way.
I'm going to be putting this tequila everywhere. No way.
No way.
Conan O'Brien did that big cover story with the Hollywood Reporter, mostly about the Oscars, and Saturday's episode will be an Oscars preview where I'll pick away at that. But in that interview, he talked about the future of late night, and an eye-opener for Conan O'Brien is when he went on Hot Ones with Sean Evans. The Conan episode got 15 million views, and Conan said, that was the moment when the scales fell from my eyes. If a guy could do World Series numbers with overhead that looked to me to be about $600, and you have every big star lining up to do his show or chicken shop date, that's when I profoundly understood that late-night shows are in trouble. I'm of the mind that, yes, these shows are going away and will become something else, but I don't like when other malign forces intervene because they're trying to curry favor. That ticks me off. Meanwhile, the late night shows continue. Seth Meyers has one for some reason. He had some comments about the President of the United States. Seth Meyers said, "You can lie about many things in American life, but one thing you can't lie about is gas prices. You know why? Because they're on giant signs on the side of the road. Everyone sees it. And honestly, we should do giant signs for the rest of our politics. There should be huge signs across the country that say felony accounts or number of times the president has fallen asleep on live TV. Send your letters to Seth Meyers." Fox News caught my attention. They had a headline, "Comedian Andrew Schulz says Americans are furious about potential ground war in Iran amid affordability crisis." Now, if you're like, John, who's Andrew Schulz again? I'll remind you, he's the bro podcaster that had Trump on his podcast when Trump was running for re-election. Remember that? Trump was there. They had a nice set, couches, fake plants, the whole thing. Everybody got all excited about video podcasting, and then Johnny Mac screams into the wind, okay, if you can book Trump and have a 20-person crew, go ahead and make a video podcast. Otherwise, you're better off just talking to a microphone in the basement. The economics work a little better. Remember that? Yeah, that guy. Anyway, Fox pulled this clip from the Flagrant podcast, and as you can hear, Andrew has really thought about his political positions. He clearly spends a lot of time thinking about this stuff. He's a deep thinker. And as you'll hear here, he's really thought about Iran. I mean, he makes his point so clear here. Fox made some edits for language, but here's Andrew Schulz.
Between this rock and a hard place where they cannot give us any reason why it benefits us without paying off China or making that declaration. And then the only reason it looks like we're in there is just because Israel needs it.
Yeah.
Right? And then naturally, Americans are furious about it, right? Because we're like, how the f does it benefit me? I can't afford to pay for college. I can't buy a home. I can't pay for health insurance. And we're going to spend billions of dollars on a war in a country I can't even point out on a map. How is this beneficial to me?
Yeah. That's how they feel already.
Yeah, as they should.
Here's a fun fact that I can't believe is true. And you can Google this for yourself. On June 21st, 2025, the New York Times had an article. The headline of that article from June 21st, 2025, in the New York Times. Andrew Schulz, podcast bro, might be America's foremost political journalist. I'm going to say that premise is wrong. Star Trek ruiner Patton Oswalt, you know him as Doug the Vulcan. He was at the 73rd Motion Picture Sound Editors Golden Reel Awards. He was commenting about Timothée Chalamet's controversial remarks about ballet and opera. You may have seen that Mr. Chalamet had suggested that no one cares about ballet nor opera. Star Trek ruiner Patton Oswalt said, "Thank God we're here to celebrate achievement in sound editing and not watching ballet or the opera. Thank God we're actually watching something that deserves to be alive, unlike modern Star Trek." Oswalt said, "It's great to be here at the Wilshire Ebel Theater, or any theater that Trump hasn't stuck his name on." Fellow Star Trek ruiner Tig Notaro talked about the fallout with her former friend Cheryl Hines. Cheryl Hines is married to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Tig and Cheryl used to do a podcast together, and Tig Notaro, Star Trek ruiner and a current contestant on Comedy Survivor, said, "I think I needed to stop doing the podcast because it was so ridiculous, it was so stupid, it was hard to be doing that when he was gaining momentum and speaking. People would interrupt my stand-up shows and yell, 'Bobby is crazy!' And I was telling Cheryl, I know it's a small percentage that pushes back online and yells out at shows, but I was like, man, this is not my world. I don't want to be part of this." And she was like, "I understand." Cheryl Hines continued the podcast with comedian Rachel Harris. Star Trek ruiner Tig Notaro said, "But what was most upsetting to me was that we were in such opposing places, but I continued to reach out to her and send her love and support because I didn't know what was going on behind closed doors because things shifted very severely." And she would respond very pleasantly, "Thanks, lady. Oh, this means so much and I love you and miss you and all that." But then I realized one day she doesn't ever reach out to me anymore. Maybe Cheryl Hines is a Star Trek fan. Has that ever occurred to you? Star Trek ruiner Tig Notaro added, "She responds to me, but she doesn't reach out to me. And I had to kind of shake myself out of denial that she's gone. And okay, I need to let this go. I need to let it go," which is how I have come to feel about Star Trek. You guys have made Star Trek so terrible, I don't even hate watch. I've gone from watching to hate watching to, you know what, I can't even be bothered. Tig Notaro, Patton Oswalt. Stephen Colbert, don't think I forgot you. He's the voice of the computer on Starfleet Academy. He deserves to lose his late night show over that alone. The president and I are aligned. Star Trek ruiner Tig Notaro said, "There's been some interviews claiming that I just dumped her and I just left her in the dust because of Bobby, but I was trying to be a friend to her, even though I didn't feel like I could continue with the podcast. But it's been very strange, and I think I've moved past the confusion and sadness." Meanwhile, Chelsea Handler, who used to date Joe Coy, but we're not going to get into that today, has railed against Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and wife Cheryl Hines for allegedly selling her a, quote, disaster Chelsea Handler was on her podcast, Dear Chelsea. She claimed she was unaware that the Brentwood, California home she was buying was owned by Kennedy and Hines, explaining the deal was carried out via two trusts, theirs and hers. Chelsea Handler alleges that the Kennedys left behind a home that was in an unlivable condition, claiming it, quote, didn't even have a proper foundation when Chelsea took it over. Chelsea said, I still have not lived in this house. That's how effed up this house was. The idea that this guy is in charge of the health of our country when he didn't even have a proper foundation at his house. Chelsea says a home inspector told her that the property had, quote, the most toxic environment. When they opened up the house, they were like, this house is the most toxic environment. You cannot live here for at least 2 years. Chelsea said she did have the property inspected before purchasing it, but there were several issues that went undiscovered, like the illegal storage unit that was built on the grounds of the dwelling. Chelsea said, so now we have to remove his illegal BS from my property. And I'm like, how did they not find this upon the first inspection? And then she says she found a note from Cheryl Hines. Chelsea Handler explains, they had the audacity to leave me a note. Cheryl Hines left me a note saying, let us know if there's anything we do for you, Chelsea. I'm like, yeah, how about an effing foundation? That's something you could do for me. Chelsea says, anyway, I'm not angry about it or anything. I'm totally over it, clearly. Boy, Johnny Mac enjoyed hosting that first half. I thought I was a little light today. Sometimes when I put together the show, it is a little light. And then I went into Bing, and sometimes on Bing.com, if I search for comedians, I'll find a couple stories. And I found that Chelsea Handler one, which went perfectly up against the Star Trek ruiner Patton Oswalt one. It is a good day putting together the show. Speaking of Notaro, she's somebody you could potentially vote off Comedy Island. Well, how would I do that, John? Well, here's what you do. You go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. In that group, you will find a cartoon image of me and Bert Kreischer in that thread. We're playing Comedy Survivor. Every week, we vote one comedian off the island. And boy, last time I checked, the Facebook group was very, very active. Lots of voting, lots of discussion. Still in the game, Nikki Glazer, John Mulaney, Oscar Watkotska, Sebastian Maniscalco, Tig Notaro, Sarah Silverman, and Leslie Jones. I don't want to steer this thing. Go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, and vote for whoever you want to. Maxi told Fox News he's working on a new television-style podcast featuring a live audience. That's not a podcast. That's a TV show, my friend. This is a podcast. Anyway, Max Meany said, I want to become extremely more consistent on my podcast. I'm creating a TV show-style podcast with a live audience, and so that's my next immediate project. When I get back to L.A., I'm starting the production. I'm also working on a comedy series. I'm really excited because I'm creating some characters that have been on my mind, I want to say for maybe 15 years, but the opportunity is now becoming possible for me to do it. Good news if you like Saturday Night Live, because SNL UK will air in the United States. SNL UK kicks off March 21st. Episodes will be available on Peacock the following day because, yeah, I wouldn't watch it on Saturday anyway. Season 1 is only 6 episodes, so don't get too attached to it. And Joe Rogan has made some people sad. You see, on Saturday night, it was UFC 326, and the main event was capped off by what's being described as an underwhelming one-sided decision victory by Charles Oliveira, who defeated champion Max Holloway in 5 rounds. Apparently, UFC aficionados did not enjoy Oliveira's fighting style. Joe Rogan was on the broadcast and said, listen to these casuals booing. How do you not appreciate this complete domination by a master? Some social media fans did not like Mr. Rogan's commentary. One wrote, Rogan calling fans casuals for booing that snooze fest is peak gatekeeping. BMF title fights should be absolute wars with finishes, not 15 minutes of Oliveira laying on Holloway. We want violence and entertainment, not a grappling clinic. Crowd knows better than the booth sometimes, Joe. At one point, with 30 seconds to go in the final round, Joe Rogan said, this is the clearest cut unanimous decision we've ever seen in a sport. UFC 326. And that is your comedy news for today. Strangely fun. I had a good time hosting it. Go vote in Comedy Survivor, Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. See you tomorrow.